From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Wednesday, October 22nd. Here's what we're covering on today's episode. A recent audit found a health provider serving students at 4 middle schools in Bernalillo County was out of compliance with federal health laws, provided questionable paperwork, and did not have licenses available for staff working. With more on this development, I'm now joined by the Journal's education reporter, Noah Kalabach. Noah, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gino.
So Noah, we covered a lot of ground at the opening of this interview, kind of discussing what this health provider was not doing for the county, but can you kind of fill in the gaps for our listeners a little bit and give us more of a background on exactly what happened?
Yeah, so the program is between Bernalillo County and a company called the Wellness Equity Alliance, which is based in California, but has operations around the country, including in New Mexico. And this initiative was called Health Yeah. Some of our readers will remember you wrote about that on the Good News beat. And these vans, they had 4 vans that they put at different APS middle schools across the county to provide students basically with health services just right off campus. The program went on for about a year. It ended this October after the county decided basically to terminate it. And we've been able, through a public records request, to get the audit that the county performed back in June, looking at how the program was doing. And some of those results are, those results are what we wrote about in the Journal today.
And Noah, I'm wondering if you can go a little bit more in depth about those results and also some concerns the county had over documentation and service reporting as well.
Yeah, so the county performed this audit, and the issues they found were, they felt like the way that they were uploading records was out of compliance with HIPAA law. Licensure for certain staff at these clinics couldn't be provided when the auditors were there, apparently. They also cited issues with, they said that the company overbilled them for some travel expenses. They also said that they didn't see, again, the big thing that they had an issue with was paperwork. And they said that it was kind of hard to gauge how well and how successful this program was doing or performing because of some of these discrepancies they report in paperwork. Some of those things also include, the number of client files available was different than the number that they were given. Now, for their part, Tyler Evans, who's one of the leaders of this Health Yeah initiative, said, the numbers in this audit aren't even accurate. We're actually serving thousands of clients. So, discrepancies, some spending concerns, and running afoul of HIPAA is what these auditors took issue with.
And Noah, I want to go back a little bit to what Western Equity Alliance Medical Director Tyler Evans said about the audit, calling it, quote, inaccurate. What exactly is he disputing there?
Well, one of the things that he pointed out is he basically said these auditors didn't know how to use Athena, which is this online sort of cloud-based healthcare information system. And because of that, he says, these kind of audits on client files aren't represented correctly. He also said, that everything, when it comes to the travel expenses, everything was above board, that it was approved by the county ahead of time. And he also, kind of aired grievances that he had with the county and the timeline in which and the manner in which they terminated the contract. So that's not directly related to the audit itself. He did take issue with the way the audit was handled.
And Noah, in your story, you were able to get a quote from Cindy Chavez, who's the Bernalillo County manager, who defended the county's decision to terminate the contract. I'm curious what justification she gave for the termination.
Yeah, she said that the county was essentially being a good steward of taxpayer money and evaluating the contracts and also, the safety of constituents in the scope of work. She added to that, the county is exploring some other options with APS to try and provide students healthcare alternatives.
So this contract terminated, but county officials saying they will look for other ways to provide healthcare services to students across Bernalillo County. Journal education reporter Noah Kalabach stopping by to share the latest with us. Thank you so much, Noah.
Hey, thanks for having me, Gino.
The Farmacy, a now closed popular brunch spot in Nob Hill, is under fire for reportedly leaving its employees without pay after filing for bankruptcy last week. With more on this development, I'm now joined by the Journal's retail and real estate reporter Kylie Garcia, who's been following this story. Kylie, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So Kylie, there was a lot of reaction across Albuquerque last week when the Farmacy announced its closure. A lot of customers really upset because this was a very popular spot, but now the story has really taken an unexpected turn with this filing for bankruptcy. What can you tell us about what's going on?
Yeah, so the owners announced the closure of this popular Nob Hill restaurant last Wednesday in a social media post, and then shortly after it just started to come out in news reports and on social media, employees coming out and sharing their experiences of alleging that the owners filed for bankruptcy before the closure, and that leaving them not getting paid because of the bankruptcy. So the business in hot water with both the employees and the Albuquerque community.
And one of the things that's really interesting about this story, Kylie, is the fact that when the Farmacy announced that they were closing, they really said the impacts of COVID-19, also repeated break-ins, water main busts even, really kind of contributed to the closure of it, but they never mentioned anything about bankruptcy. Were you able to get any comments from them on why that was?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I did reach out to the owners and their attorney for comment, but I didn't hear back. What I did discover was just this long statement that the owners had released on social media, basically just delving into everything. I think once the employees came out with their stories, it probably prompted the owners to address things once those reports started showing up in the media and online, and so they probably felt like they had to address it, and so they came out with a statement basically just sharing how they had moved to San Diego and in 2020, and then opened a restaurant also called the Farmacy there. And they leased the space in 2023, but it took them a while to open it up. So that was kind of draining their funds. And then, after moving, leaving Albuquerque, the Farmacy also started to struggle. And so, yeah, it just seems like it all just started to unravel. And then after these reports came out, they decided to also share that they just had to, file for emergency bankruptcy, and that it was more abrupt than they wished, but that they had to because of all of these different circumstances.
And Kylie, I want to backtrack a little bit to a statement made by owner Jacob Elliott on why he couldn't pay his employees their final paychecks. What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so the business filed for bankruptcy on Tuesday, according to court documents, and that filing came in the middle of a payroll cycle, which basically, halts any final payments to employees. The business, its assets, and any remaining compensation for employees is now in the hands of a court-assigned third party, and so he does no longer have control over that. And so, yeah, one employee told me that they asked, for their final paychecks, and he basically said he could not, due to bankruptcy law in New Mexico, and that someone would be in touch to get them their final compensation.
And one of the more interesting things your story uncovered, Kylie, is that this bankruptcy is not the only litigation that is surrounding the Farmacy. There was actually a separate ongoing wage theft lawsuit that was filed in 2023 by former employees. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so in digging through court documents, I came across a lawsuit that was filed by 5 former The Farmacy employees in 2023, alleging that the owners of the Farmacy in Albuquerque had violated the Albuquerque minimum wage ordinance, which basically prohibits the sharing of tips with employers, and specifies that tips are the property of tipped employees. And so the complaint just said that the owners had violated the ordinance by establishing a tip pooling system in 2022, which shared the servers' tips with other employees like floor managers, kitchen workers, positions that aren't customarily tipped. And in the complaint, the employees alleged that the business did not always make practice of distributing those tips, but rather kept, some or all of them. And so that was what they were alleging in that 2023 suit, which was ongoing up until this year when they filed for bankruptcy.
And Kylie, last question before I let you go. There was a lot of passion reaction from across the Albuquerque community when the Farmacy announced its closure. What have we heard from community members in regards to this bankruptcy coming to light?
Yeah, so just in reviewing some comments from the Albuquerque community, on social media, in pages like Albuquerque Foodies, I think a lot of community members are expressing betrayal that they, very much found this restaurant to be a real popular spot spot that they went to for many years, supported for many years, and I think a lot of them felt betrayed by that, but then also expressing support for the employees that were left unpaid. A lot of them responded to the long statement that the owner posted and basically just said, yeah, but you should have probably still let your employees know that you were closing, because a lot of them found out via social media is what they told us.
So the pharmacy's closure taking an unexpected turn with this bankruptcy filing coming to light. Journal business reporter Kylie Garcia stopping by to share the latest with us. Thank you so much, Kylie.
Of course, thank you.
In other headlines from the newsroom, the New Mexico Supreme Court has agreed to move forward with the state's request to remove 11th Judicial District Attorney Bernadine Martin of McKinley County from office. Attorney General Raul Torres filed the petition in August, accusing Martin of creating a hostile workplace, mishandling prosecutions, violating procurement laws, and improperly maintaining private legal work while serving as district attorney. Martin has denied all allegations, arguing the removal of law shouldn't apply to actions from her previous term and that voters, not the courts, should decide her fate. The Supreme Court disagreed, ruling on October 17th to proceed with removal proceedings. A virtual hearing is set for October 31st and will be overseen by retired Judge Alan Malott. The justice's eventual ruling on whether Martin is removed from office will be final under state law. Testimony began on Monday in a whistleblower lawsuit against the Albuquerque Police Department, centered on a 2023 head-shaving policy at the police academy and allegations of retaliation by APD leadership. 7 academy training officers claimed they were punished after reporting that Cadet Joshua Vega, the son of Deputy Chief George Vega, lied about shaving his head under a policy requiring male cadets to razor shave daily. Officers say Vega was terminated for dishonesty but later reinstated through his father's influence, while they were removed from the academy and investigated for hazing. City attorneys argue the officers were disciplined not for whistleblowing, but for humiliating the cadet, forcing him to shave his head publicly, while classmates did push-ups. They say an internal probe found Vega's actions were a minor infraction, and that APD Chief Harold Medina has a consistent record of opposing hazing. The lawsuit, filed in April of 2024, claims retaliation and abuse of power by top APD leaders. All 7 officers remain employed with the department, though only some have returned to academy duty after the investigation. And in business news, Nusenda Credit Union is expanding its microloan program to offer up to $50,000 in small loans for entrepreneurs who lack access to traditional financing. The program partners with organizations like Encinto in Albuquerque and 100% Otero in southern New Mexico to reach underserved communities, especially immigrants and low-income families. Since launching, Nusenda has distributed over $3.2 million through 500 microloans, helping create 324 jobs across New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, and Colorado. The maximum loan size was recently increased from $10,000 to $50,000 to meet rising demand. Nusenda now works with 23 community partners, including Native Women Lead, Cultivating Coders, and the Black Chamber of Commerce of New Mexico. Nusenda officials say even small investments can make a big impact, helping, quote, unbankable entrepreneurs achieve financial stability and grow local economies. The Leading News is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast, today you can expect mostly sunny skies with a high near 75, and as for this evening, a chance of sprinkles before midnight, mostly cloudy with a low around 50. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the Leading News. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.